I've been in healthcare for over 27 years. I love what I do. I've chosen healthcare as a career so I can help others.
Or guilt? I don't really want to say regarding her condition, but did you ever feel like I need to understand better, or I acted in a way that makes me feel like I did not understand?
So, yes, I have felt that. I have felt that so bad where I'm
That's
like, dang,
good.
I'm not there.
I want to tell me.
Undecided emotion. Sometimes you don't know what to feel, you don't know how to say it. And so, what happens is your emotions just race, and then you find yourself not really focusing or paying
Mhm.
attention. Me personally, I read books to get away.
Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to the All Mercy podcast. Today, we are talking about a mental health illness that has devastated many individuals, not just them, but their families. Most of the time, we want to choose how we want to see this illness. It is a journey for many, not just the people who have been diagnosed with the illness, but also their loved ones around them. And the topic for today is schizophrenia. What is schizophrenia? There are many definitions of it, scientifically, philosophically, and of course, personal definitions, depending on how it has affected someone or their loved ones. But to put it in quote, or in easy terms, it is a chronic and severe mental disorder that affects how a person thinks, feels, and behaves. People with schizophrenia may seem like they have lost touch with reality, which can be distressing for them and for those around them. They have positive symptoms, negative symptoms, and cognitive symptoms. We have our guest here who is willing to share her personal journey about this illness. Personal for her, one way or the other. Not that she's been diagnosed with it, but she has a personal experience with it. I appreciate that we can be vulnerable, we can be open up. And if this podcast can impact one person, then we've done what we want to do here today. And I will let her introduce herself. Thank you so
Hello.
much for being here.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much.
I am overwhelmed, elated, and just extremely humbly blessed and happy to be here to be able to share this with someone. And like you said, if we touch one person, um, it's
Our
worth it.
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it. It's very hard for people to share their personal stories or their personal journeys
Hmm.
because the impact is different for everybody. Yet it remains vulnerable to everyone.
Hmm. Hmm.
Even the happy moments, all the sad moments, all the confusing moments, is different for everyone, yet still vulnerable. And many people don't want to talk about it. So thank you so much for choosing our platform to
Yes.
share this. I am elated. I am
Hmm.
happy. I am honored to have you here today.
Thank you.
Again, the topic is Understanding Schizophrenia, a journey of compassion and resilience. We always start our show or our podcast with a personal quote, and I have one today. Our quotes try to relate to what we are talking about. And in the middle or in the end, we try to see how relative that quote was pertaining to what we're talking about. I dance, I laugh, I cry, I sing, I sleep, I fly, I can do anything. The problem is, I do all that at the same time. Let me reset for the 100th time. Am I okay? That is our quote for today. We are going to see how relative this is to our topic today. Now, can you please introduce yourself and share a bit about your personal experience growing up with schizophrenia in the household? And how did you first become aware of your siblings' diagnosis?
Hi, I am Camelia Muhammad, and I don't know what else I want to say about myself yet. I just want to say that I've been in healthcare for over 27 years. I love what I do. I've chosen healthcare as a career, so I can help others. A lot of it has to do with my upbringing and being raised and what I was raised around. Um, and with a definite reason why I chose what I'm doing is because of, one of my siblings having schizophrenia. It wasn't really talked about being raised, although we knew something was different.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We knew something was, what we, meaning my other siblings, we knew something was different. We knew something was, was
Right.
not like us. It was something that was happening. And so not until my adult years did it really come out and talked about.
You've been in
We,
healthcare for 27 years.
mhm.
Thank you for your service. I want to really commend you for that. It's not easy. Healthcare is not a joke.
Mm-mm.
And serving people for 27 years, I can only say thank you for your service. Thank you
Thank
so much. How has your personal experience of growing up with a sibling with schizophrenia influenced your work as a nurse in long term care, particularly in relation to mental health?
Oh my goodness, it really was an impact, a strong impact. I would always think about, my loved one. I would always think about that, especially when I would meet different challenges,
Mm-hmm.
because the type of healthcare that I'm involved in is what we call healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Gerontology, meaning it could be an adult of any age.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You deal with people that have different issues psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
You deal with different families, because we just don't deal with the patients or the residents, we deal with the families too, that are dealing with the change and
Mm-hmm.
trying to understand what's really going on. So it was a big, it pushed me to the top. um and I'm so glad to be able to speak this, but it helped to push me to the goal that I'm getting ready to achieve, and that's becoming a healthcare administrator. So it really, it pushed me and thrived me
Mm-hmm.
to continue until I reached there, so I could make the ultimate goal and be the ultimate decision maker on what actually happens to the lives of
And,
those
and
suffering.
be that difference.
Mhm.
Be that difference. How has this influenced your mental health?
You know what? It has influenced my mental health to be more positive. I tend to be an internalized thinker. And so it helped me to be able to be stronger in my state of mind, where nothing is perfect. Being in healthcare, you're going to feel. There's no way you can be a great healthcare worker and not feel empathetic. You have to. You're gonna fall into sympathy. You're gonna day there. You have to sit in your car for a little while before you go in the house. You're gonna
Yes.
fall into those days where you might. go somewhere and sit for a little bit before you even go home,
Mm-hmm.
just to try to deflate your mind. It's a challenging war within yourself when you choose healthcare for the right reasons. And when you love it like I do, to take care of those and see it as a ministry that God gave you and a blessing to be able to do for others, it takes you to a different level of respect, acceptance, diligence, deliverance, to be able to care for the person that's suffering and the loved ones that are having to handle what's going on.
Whew. There is no way you can be in healthcare and not feel.
Mhm.
And like you said,
Absolutely.
especially if you're there for the right reasons,
Absolutely.
sometimes it takes a chunk out of you.
Mhm.
It drains you. And like you said, sometimes you get home, just unwind a little bit in the car before you take the energy inside so that you can recreate another energy to
Mhm.
get inside. And I am glad that going through
Mhm.
what you have gone through or going through has kind of shaped your mental health to stay positive.
Mhm.
And I know that they are good and bad days, but you're consciously trying to stay positive in your mental health. Now, we are talking about schizophrenia, and I said earlier it is a chronic distortion of the mind that affects your mind, your feelings, your behavior, your emotion, and everything. To you, having someone with schizophrenia in your life, what is schizophrenia to you?
Schizophrenia to me is something that I have given my own personal name to. Um, it's not a good name. Um,
What is the name, if you don't mind sharing?
you.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I have named schizophrenia "fuck you" is because that's used when you don't like something, when you ultimately are fed up with something, and you ultimately cannot stand that something.
Yes. Mm.
I don't really say the word schizophrenia, I say "fuck you" because that disease I have seen tear apart and almost ruin someone in my life that I care for dearly, and that without that disease would have been in a different place in life, would have been stronger in different ways, would have made different decisions
Right.
in other ways, and things that allow me to say "fuck you" I'm always in a defense with, because those are strong words to
Yeah.
me, because that's
Mm-hmm.
not something I'm going to just use for
Mm-hmm.
anything. you
Mm-hmm.
know I am a warrior of God, and I will fight to the end, what "fuck you" really means, and that particular disease is what that is, and that's how I take it. So I will forever thrive and strive to beat it.
And those are strong emotions coming from a personal encounter
Mhm,
with schizophrenia.
mhm,
I have had so many patients over the years as a nurse, as a provider, and whatever, over the years dealing with schizophrenia. And I have a name for it too, like just losing touch with reality most of the time. And that's why I came up with that quote: I dance, I laugh, I cry, I sleep, I
mhm,
fly, all at the same time.
mhm.
And the thoughts just become so overwhelming in somebody's brain. Their minds just become so much racing that you start seeing them being robbed off slowly, from reality. Sometimes you see a person with this disease, you don't know if you should cry with them or you should laugh with them or you should give them a hug or you should just stay away
Mhm.
because you don't know what is happening in their minds at that time. So I can understand how angry, for you to use those words, I can understand how angry and how devastated you are with this schizophrenia. How did your sibling's schizophrenia diagnosis impact your childhood? And what were the specific challenges you faced as a sibling?
Oh my goodness. Ooh, affecting my childhood.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where it was it was like you had to be emotionally attached, but then you had to detach. As a child, you're already full of different emotions. I think it was harder for me once I hit puberty too, because I could understand better. It
Yeah.
when we were younger, it wasn't that bad. You know, I knew something, but it wasn't as bad. But when I got older, I'm learning more. I'm seeing more.
You understood better.
I understood better. That's when it really started to resonate with me that there is a problem. And so growing up, with that, it caused me to become guarded sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would go through embarrassment. You don't want different friends over. You don't want different people to come.
Because you
You
feel judged
know,
or judge your loved one.
hmm yeah, because you're dealing with the situation and the fact that you're also, even though the person is going through a lot and you get frustrated with them, you become protective.
Yeah.
You're in a protective mode
Mm.
because you know that something is wrong. A lot of it growing up, because we didn't talk about it like we're talking about it now in the house.
Yeah.
You know, it
The
was just,
stigma.
oh, she's just not feeling well today, or she'll
Yeah.
be okay. You know,
Yeah.
it was one of those things where it's a time and space where you have to be different, quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, or that you feel like you're different
Mm-hmm.
than your other friends. And so you have a way to kind of cope with things, and then you
And
isolate.
you're not even the one with the disease or
Mhm.
with the illness, but you still felt different.
Right, and you isolate. Hmm. So that's why this disease is a disease that it affects everyone.
Yes.
It's not just the person within. That's how cold it is, and that's why I
Yes.
named it what I did,
Yes.
because that's exactly what it is, because
Yes.
it doesn't just affect your loved one, it affects everyone. Hmm.
That's hard.
Hmm.
What were some of the emotional and psychological challenges you faced just by having a sibling
Hmm.
with schizophrenia?
Um, some of the emotional things and challenges that I faced, it was more of a undecided emotion. Sometimes you don't know what to feel. You don't know how to say it. And so what happens is your emotions just race, and then you find yourself not really focusing or
Mhm.
paying attention. Me personally, I read books to get away.
Mm.
Because I had to have a way to release myself from the what I was actually living.
Mhm.
And so I would read a lot. And so the books allowed me, and then I wasn't bothered.
Were you reading about the disease or you just read anything to get your mind out
Everything,
of the
anything to get my
concept?
mind out of it. Nothing about that. I wanted to go away from it. I wanted to disappear. So I would read books. No one would bother me if they saw me reading. You know, it was my peace to get away and to be able to handle what we didn't know was going to happen, because
Hmm.
you have that unknown factor there.
Yeah. 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 Oh
Mhm,
wow.
mhm.
How did you and your family navigate the balance between supporting your siblings' needs and maintaining or prioritizing your own emotional well being?
It wasn't done. It was not done. Understand that in the home, it wasn't a thing to talk about. It wasn't something that we dealt with. We just lived with. There's a difference, in my opinion, of living with something and dealing with it.
Absolutely.
You can live with something and every day can go by and it's there, it's there, but it's not dealt with. It's not talked about.
It's not talked about.
It's not put out there because of the fear, and or it may just be wanting to ignore it because you don't want to accept what's actually happening,
Yeah.
you know?
You know how sometimes you're threading on a bombshell, you know it's there, but nobody wants to, everybody just ignore it, thinking that maybe if we don't talk about it, not that it will go away, but everybody just feels safe not addressing it or not giving it a name or not even acknowledging that it's there, even though it looms
Yes.
in your face all the time, not
Hmm.
just you, your siblings, your parents. Something is wrong, but nobody is talking about it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is
And
it
so,
different today, though?
excuse me?
Today, compared to growing up as a child, is it
Hmm.
different how you guys address it, though?
Yes, it is. Very different. Very different today. And knowledge is power, I think. I know it is.
Now we can freely talk about mental health issues as well.
Yes. If I go back just a little bit, you have to think about the time that I was a child. When I say that it wasn't talked about or things wasn't done, it was a time where a lot of things wasn't talked about or done. I
Hmm.
can't say the way I've raised my daughter and son is the same. It's not that my parents were wrong. That's just what you did.
That was the culture in the
That
time.
was the culture. I
Mhm.
love my parents, great parents, you know. Um, I can't say, shoot, if we were there then, probably wouldn't have addressed it either then. Because when you're
Right.
talking about the late 70s, 80s,
Mm-hmm.
you got a time frame where you didn't talk about certain things, you'd
Mm-hmm.
be quiet, you'd handle it behind closed doors. If there's something going on, we'll deal with it or not, but it's not
Hmm.
going out this house. And
Absolutely.
a lot of people did that. I don't care who you are, what's going on. You're
Absolutely.
lying if you say you didn't.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you that right now.
Oh no,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, now you can be more open
Mm-hmm.
on a lot of different aspects in life. You can be more open about things. I feel that now it's more addressed. Um, my father, rest his soul, he's deceased now, but my mom, she handles it so well. She talks about it. It's amazing. She'll call me and talk about it, and she'll talk about how she's feeling and the help that my sibling is getting is
Yeah,
amazing, because of that.
absolutely.
I've told my mom different ways on how to deal with it.
Absolutely.
One of our other siblings, he really didn't understand it, but now he's starting to understand it better because we are talking about it,
Yes.
because we are bringing to light that decision was made at a manic point in time. You can't hold that against, our sibling. You can't.
You
Like it's like
can.
you
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 can.
just can't.
The more you understand, the more you understand. That's
Hmm.
just what it is. The more you understand, the more you become more understanding, and the more you become more tolerant, and the more you know that you don't apportion blame to that person. That is the phase of whatever they are going through
Hmm.
at that time.
Hmm.
And this leads me to this question though. Looking back at your childhood, were there any early signs of symptoms that you could see that something is wrong? You may not even have known the name,
Hmm.
but could you see some symptoms that would tell you that something is wrong.
Yes, absolutely. One of the main ones was the attention, like not being able to pay attention. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're holding a conversation and they have to get up and walk around and move around and
Yeah.
couldn't like stay still, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, why aren't you, we're all sitting down. Why aren't you sitting down? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like we're all okay, but couldn't sit down. Would leave, like would say with the lies, the
Yeah.
lies.
Mm-hmm.
Say, oh, I'm going to go hang out with friends. This was more in the teenage time.
Mm-hmm.
Go hang with friends, but then you weren't with those friends, and
Right.
it just didn't make sense. I know teenagers do things and gonna lie and do things like that, but it was different. And let me tell you why it was different. The reason it was different is because she would not come back.
Yeah.
It was where we had to search.
Right.
Someone who just disappears, don't take that for granted that that they're just, they're doing it because they're mad or something like that. It could be something really wrong.
It could be they don't know where they are, or they don't know how to get back to where they were.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact that
Mm.
it was like when someone gets upset at something, this is another sign.
Right.
There's a certain spot to stop, but there was no stop point. It
Mm-hmm.
would get to the point where I'm so mad, I'm gonna bust this window out. Or I'm so mad, I'm gonna
I'm
kick this
gonna break
over.
this door. Mm-hmm.
Right. So it was
I'm
overly
so mad. I'm even gonna harm myself.
right. So it was and tried by cutting wrists. So it's things like that that let me know that this is not normal. Like it's okay to get mad at your parent and stomp to your room and shut the door or go
But
outside,
not to
you
an
know.
extent where, yeah.
But to
And
cut your
sometimes it may
wrist,
be some little thing that you, who took my water bottle from here, and it
right?
becomes something else.
hmm And so that's where I really could see it because it was like over exaggerated type of upset. You know, I'll cut
And,
my wrist, I'll break
and
glass,
how
I'll
did your family initially react to these signs?
um, in fear, um, scared. During that time you have to understand that you're like you don't want them to take your child.
Yeah.
If you tell them too much, then maybe they'll think the child doesn't even need to be with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like with the wrist cut, and with the use of hitting glass with your hands, bare
Uh-huh.
hands. um it was fear. That's all I could see.
Yeah.
With my mom, with my dad, he was more of the person. If he had fear, we didn't see it. And what he would do was he would just try to fix it because he was the caregiver, he was the provider, he was the one that was over our home. That's how it goes. That's
Yeah.
how I was raised. That's how it goes. When
Yeah.
you're married, your husband is the head of the house. So it's he would do more like that, act like that in front of us. I don't know how he handled it without us around, but that's what I saw.
And when you say fear, it's making me think of a lot of things too. Not just fear of, am I capable of taking care of this child? Fear of losing the child maybe to the authorities,
Mhm,
like I don't have the
mhm.
tools.
Right.
Fear of calling yourself maybe a bad parent or a
Yes.
bad sibling. Like,
Yes.
where did I go wrong? Am I doing the
Mhm,
best I should be doing for this child? Fear
mhm,
of, what will other people look at me like? What when other people come to find out this is how my child is acting?
mhm.
What would they say?
Absolutely.
So it just it just hits someone from different angles, and
Mhm,
oh my god, I can only imagine
mhm,
the
mhm.
hurt, the confusion, which is
Yes.
making me think like, what challenges did you face in understanding and accepting the diagnosis? At what point was it diagnosed, and at what point did you accept that, okay, This is what this person is going through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have control over it, but I have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
At,
Yes.
at what point did you get to that acceptance phase?
Um, I can tell you, I really accepted it a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I probably about 20 years ago.
Okay.
Um, once I, you know, became a mother and I saw, the different things and challenges it does to take to be a great parent and things that you aren't gonna know and gonna know. That's when I really, really took it in and accepted it. Because I feel like at that point in time, that was me really being able to understand the whole picture, like with my parents and as a sibling when I
Yeah.
became a mom. So I think now, though, I'm more comfortable talking about it and accepting it because not until probably, and believe this or not,
Mm-hmm.
about a year ago is when my mother really accepted it. When she really, we had a long conversation and she actually accepted it.
Was it ever diagnosed as a child?
No, they never got the actual diagnosis because it was not dealt with that way.
Yes.
It wasn't she didn't go to the doctor. It was nothing. It wasn't dealt with that way.
Yeah.
It was more of a, we can handle
Why?
this at home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We can handle this at home and we're going to be okay and we're going to deal with this. And that was how it was dealt with. There was no diagnosis. Not until she
And
was an adult was it
how did
actually
your
diagnosed.
how did your parents support you and your siblings during this time? Everybody knows that something is wrong, but we are going to deal with it in house. We are not going to go out there and call it a name. Were there any specific resources and support groups that were helpful to your family?
I have to honestly say that it was my family's faith base. There was no doctors or anything like that.
Hmm.
It was more of prayer,
Yeah.
um, God, and I do firmly believe in God, and I know that's who gave us the power to get through it
Amen.
because that's what we had.
Yeah.
And that's what we will always have. But it was no, we didn't use what God put here to help us. You get what I'm saying? Like, I feel, because I'm a healthcare worker, we are here. God put us here to help, you know, and we didn't use that extra resource that God gave us, but we used the ultimate source, if that makes sense,
It makes a lot of sense.
um,
It,
to have as our support system.
it makes a lot of sense. And having how did you like having a sibling with schizophrenia? How was that an influence? How did that influence your family dynamics and relationships with each other? Were there any specific challenges or adjustment that your family had to make to support?
Mhm. Oh, definite challenge and adjustment. More of getting mad because it was more like, okay, it's gonna be fine. Don't worry. But we're all sitting around like, no, it's not fine. Like, it's
Yeah.
not okay. And so it would cause sometimes some disagreements,
Mm-hmm.
some division and isolation.
Yeah.
There's times where, we all just kind of dispersed and went our own ways and didn't talk about it. So you had all those components there
I'm sure,
where,
I'm sure there were moments where, let's say, she can do something and everyone accepts it. The next person do the same thing and it is totally unacceptable.
hmm hmm
There were challenges like that.
it was. It was challenges where, it was like, okay, let me use an example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can scream, holler, curse. I better not scream, holler, curse. It's not gonna be good for me. And I didn't even think about doing it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Not
Mm-hmm.
that I even did it, but it was like I knew. It wasn't the fact that it happened. It was the fact that I knew I couldn't do some of those things,
Right.
and
Right.
then like be okay. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that you're gonna get a whipping for that. You knew certain things and boundaries
Yeah.
being raised as a child, what you should and shouldn't do, but you knew you had a sibling that was doing things and you
Mm-hmm.
knew your parents knew something was wrong.
Right.
And there was certain ways differently that they handled it because, you're not gonna spank because there's something wrong,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
there. And
And
you don't,
sometimes,
and then the fear to discipline because you don't want them to run off. Because that was their coping mechanism. One of the things with it that I learned with that horrible disease is the fact that you can act out and you may run away or you may do this or do that if you don't get your way. It depends on where you are in that moment with the
yeah.
disease. And
Yeah.
so that was one way to cope, was to run
Just
away.
to run away and then not knowing how to come back.
Mm-mm.
Mm-hmm. Not knowing how to come back. And that can be frightening, which led me to this. How did your relationship with your sibling evolve throughout your childhood into your adulthood?
Mhm. Oh my goodness. It was a beautiful thing because of the age gap. We weren't really that close, in age.
Yeah.
So it was always a situation where it was a love there regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were so far apart. Um, but I always loved deeply my sibling. Like I love them all, but we're talking about this disease. I love deep, and
Yeah.
that's just me. And
Yeah.
so I would not let it stop me from loving them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, like, I was always okay. What you need, being that sister. You know what I'm saying? I would not stop that, and I had boundaries. Like the older we got, and I knew things was happening, or
Yeah.
my sibling would say stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, now, I would have boundaries, but I was
You're like, okay,
always,
time to stop.
yes, but I was always there, and I
God
would
bless your
not ever
soul.
leave.
God
Hmm.
bless your soul. Did you ever feel a sense of responsibility or guilt? I don't really want to say regarding her condition, but did you ever feel like I need to understand better, or I acted in a way that makes me feel like I did not understand?
Yes, absolutely. Where I've had, because we're not in the same, area.
Uh huh.
So I felt bad because I'm like, maybe if I was in the area closer,
Uh huh.
I would have a guilt being away. I would feel a guilt not being right there 5 or 10 minutes away where I couldn't get it, because I know the disease better than anyone in my family and even people that are outside of our family. I've studied this. I know this. I live it. I'm in healthcare. I deal with people with it, and I'm not there to help my
To
own
help,
loved one
yeah, or maybe to
through
help
it,
your mother how
or to
to.
help my mom.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, I have felt that. I have felt that it's so bad where I'm
That
like, dang,
hurts.
I'm not there. I
I'm
want to
even
be.
hurt right now. Like I can only pray. I can only hope. I can only say, "Mom, it's gonna be okay. If she's acting like this, you act this way." But you're not there physically to help.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I can understand that. Are there any unique aspects of your bond that have been shaped by experiencing this together?
Mhm. Um, I think so. I think that my sibling knows that I'm there.
Yeah.
knows that
Mm-hmm.
no matter this disease, no matter what's going on and the changes, my sibling knows that I am there. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter where she is with the disease, how she's feeling, she knows I'm there.
She knows you're there. And there's
Yes.
always that bond. And you don't
Mhm.
understand how mentally sane or mentally safe people going through any kind of mental health
Mhm.
illness
Mhm.
they get when they know that this person is there. Even if that
Mhm.
person is not there physically, they
Mhm.
know they can pick up the phone and call you anytime. They know they can rely on your emotional support, on
Mhm.
any other support, just knowing that, oh, this person have my back. It
Right.
is a lot. It is a lot because it shows them that they are not alone. And that's something that we try to do in mental health, that you are not alone. You are not
Mhm.
alone. You got the community, a whole community
Oh.
behind you. And talking about that, there's a lot of stigma surrounding all mental health issues, especially schizophrenia or anyone that takes your cognition or that
Mhm.
affects your cognition to the
Mhm.
point that it can lead to social isolation and discrimination. Did you experience any stigma or misunderstanding from others, and how did you cope with that?
I think so. I don't. I didn't necessarily have it come to me head on, or, and I
Mhm.
think some people would say things. Maybe I would think people would say things behind our backs.
Yeah,
Because sometimes when my sibling would be manic, others would be involved because of picking up the phone and the phone calls that would be made by my sibling. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
And putting other people in it.
yeah.
And so I'm the type where I don't need to speak to a whole bunch of people. I just need to fix the problem. Let me
Right.
see what's going on. What do
Mhm.
you know? Tell me, and then I'm gonna go and fix it. You know what I'm saying? I'm that's just me.
Right.
Um, and I can't help that. She incorporated others. It's kind of like you go into this survival mode of you got to fix it, and
Mhm.
then you got to make sure that others aren't saying things. But it's one of those things where I've always been raised, and I've always been the type of woman, I don't care what other people think or
Yeah.
say.
Hmm.
I want to get it done, and I'm going to focus on what's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And
Mhm.
with mental health, we really cannot stop people from talking,
Mm-mm.
and we really cannot stop their own opinion because it will just make us go downhill.
Yes.
And with any other thing, let us make it our journey and involve only those people
Mm-hmm.
whose opinion align with our purpose
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or with our goals or with the decision to help us get better. Those
Mm-hmm.
are the kind of people that we can involve or that their opinions can matter, because people will step in just to hurt you more, just
Mm-hmm.
to make you feel different and unaccepted.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will even step in you thinking that they are filling that gap, but they leave you more isolated than ever. You have people, but you're still very isolated. So it is very, very, uh, I don't want to say difficult, but it is very important that going through this journey, we pick who we want to journey with. It is very important. Yeah, very important. What steps, in your opinion, can society take to better support individuals with schizophrenia and their families in terms of mental health awareness and advocacy?
Oh, well, advocacy. Can I just focus on advocacy?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
fair?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, Let me say this. Let me go back a little bit. Awareness and advocacy.
Mhm.
I'm glad you asked that, because my thing is it's just awareness and advocacy is just as good as you allow it to be. You have all these different groups of people, you have all these different things going on, and advocate and pay here and do this and do that. But is it really going to be a help to you? You have to understand that Advocacy, yes, I can advocate for it. The help of it, it's what you're advocating for. Are you advocating to learn more about the disease, or making yourself aware to
Mm-hmm.
learn more about the disease, to advocate for just the disease? Or are you learning more to become aware of what's happening to the whole component, and
Absolutely.
then try and teach how to make it better because it's not going away?
Mm-hmm.
So I get really, really I would say personal and emotional when it comes to
Yeah.
awareness and advocacy, about anything, especially this,
Mm-hmm.
because what is your awareness and what is the actual advocacy? Personally, with me and my family, it's
Mm-hmm.
more of the awareness to understand my sibling versus to advocate
Yeah.
for it. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
It makes a lot
So
of
so we
sense.
can do good for her. It's not that we don't want to help others, because that's why I'm doing this, because we need to help others.
We need
We
to.
need to get this out, because this, to me, what you're doing, that I thank you, so grateful to God for
Thank
you,
you. Thank you.
is you're making this awareness by putting real stories out there and letting people understand that it's okay to
To talk
talk about
about it.
it.
Yeah. You're not alone. It's okay to talk about it. It's
It's so
okay.
okay.
Yeah. And we should talk about it in schools. We should talk about it in educational
Yes.
institutions, because we have people with this disease in schools. We have them everywhere.
Everywhere.
It may be our co-worker and we don't know.
Oh my gosh.
And
Mhm.
we don't know. And if we don't talk about it, then we are not promoting the awareness to say that it's okay to talk about it. Together, let us find the solution to this. Together, let us
Mhm.
accept each other and know that it is okay. And this lead me to this. Do you think that teachers and classmates can support people with schizophrenia?
I do.
Because
I
I
really do.
know I have patients with schizophrenia who stopped school
Mhm.
because they did not get that kind of support. They feel like they were being judged. They feel like they were being mocked at.
Yes.
They feel like, let's say, they could just answer a question wrongly that anybody could have had wrong. And they
Mhm.
feel like, oh, it's because you have schizophrenia that you did not know the answer to this.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
in what ways, to me, I feel like just acceptance
Mhm.
is a starting point.
Well, I see it like this. I'm going to go back to advocacy for a moment.
Yeah.
Awareness, yes. Teachers need to be aware, and I do believe that teachers need to have more classroom and more learning and more education.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, learning, we could say learning, but more education on different topics, because they do have the children a long time. They do have them throughout the day, and knowledge is power, like I said. And you
Yeah.
can't be upset with the teacher who doesn't know or has been trained to know. I think that there are certain teachers that should be able, once they have that training, to be able to have those students with them, not to isolate the student, but to have your teachers trained. That means everyone needs to be correct. You can't isolate the kids. So you should have that, where that's a part of their curriculum. That's a part of what they have to know. That's a
Yeah.
part of that. And so, to me, it's about knowing. And you sit up here and you teach a child, and you say, well, you missed that because you have that disease. Well, the teacher has been taught, you don't do that, you don't say that. You know what
Don't
I'm
do
saying? That's
that.
not how you approach
That's
this.
not how you help them.
That's not how
That's
you
not how
help.
you help, and
Okay.
that's not how you make them feel accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
how are you
Absolutely.
different from the other person who
Mm-hmm.
does not know about it and who cannot support them?
Mm-hmm.
How are you promoting that
Mm-hmm.
support? And
Right.
that's why sometimes with
Mm-hmm.
with people with these diseases, sometimes these teachers need to be trained, especially those who have special classes and other
Yes.
things for accommodation, those people leading them, the teachers leading, needs to be trained to better understand this. Let
Absolutely.
me ask you this: looking back on your experiences, what lessons have you learned or insights have you gained about mental health and the importance of empathy and support?
What I've learned a lot about mental health, first of all, there's a thin line
Mhm.
between mental illness and sanity.
Yes.
Okay.
When you
That's
when you start speaking like that, we're gonna stay here all day because now you're
there's a
getting into.
there's a thin line between mental illness and sanity. That's a whole, we won't go, that's a whole nother time.
Yeah,
But that, you know, that's that.
we're gonna program another episode for that.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
because you know that is a whole nother
Yes,
type
ma'am.
of topic and situation, because that's what is, in a nutshell, that
Yes,
I have experienced with my experience, and what I have learned and what I have read and what I have lived, that it's a thin line.
there is. There is. There is. And the importance of empathy and support. Because we have to
Absolutely.
understand that this person may be schizophrenic,
Hmm.
their actions sometimes is due to what is going on in their head.
Hmm.
It's not what we can hold them accountable for.
Absolutely.
Because when they get to that period where they are themselves, we see a whole new being.
Hmm.
We see a totally changed and sweet and quote unquote normal personality
Hmm.
that even hate what they just did 5 minutes ago.
Right.
And this lead me to this. How did your experience shape your resilience and your personal growth? Dealing with somebody that you don't know, they can tell you, I love you, and the next minute they act like you're the worst person on earth. How has this experience shaped your resilience and your personal growth?
Oh my goodness, I have so much resilience in the fact that personally, you can only go by your experience. A lot of stuff you can learn in a book, but a lot of stuff is experience,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just, you know, set that foundation there. A lot of it is that. So with my experience on top of my knowledge, it's made my resilience level
Mm-hmm.
is 1000.
Amen. Amen.
Okay. It's 1000. And then, you know, being able to really understand and listen. My ear is different. You know, when someone is talking or if someone is bringing something, your ear is different,
Uh-huh.
because when you're listening differently, because you probably know how that person sitting over there in the chair is feeling, because you were
Right.
that person.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then you look at, you know, you see that person's face, but I'm looking at my sister, or I'm looking at somebody else that I've had experience with, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like my ears different, because I and I'm gonna take a little bit more time to listen.
And you listen differently.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. You
I
listen
listen.
differently.
Yeah, you listen so different
Mm-hmm.
when you have lived something or experienced something, and now you're having to put it into your professional world that
Mm-hmm.
you've chosen to have as a career to help someone.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's my faith base.
Yes.
I
Yes.
know who's looking at me. I know that, you know, my God is happy with me.
The
I gotta
higher
stay in
power
his
is
good
there.
grace. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I gotta stay in his good grace. Um, and so that's how it is. My resilience is 1000.
Amen to that.
1000.
And look at it also. Are there any support networks? I know you said prayer helps a lot.
Hmm.
Are there any other resources available for siblings? Not
Hmm.
for the person, for siblings of
Hmm.
individuals with schizophrenia. And how important is it for siblings to connect with others with similar experiences?
Yes, so support systems. please, 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 siblings out there that are going through it, go ask, try to get into any of mental health facilities.
Mm-hmm.
And wherever you are, they're everywhere. You just look up mental health facilities. You can look in inpatient or outpatient.
Mm-hmm.
You can go through any emergency room, any hospital emergency room to get advocacy groups. They
Yeah.
have to give you information,
Mm-hmm.
because some of the first places that people go when they are manic, or when they are having problems, or when families are needing them to get help, is the emergency room.
Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And like, a lot of people feel like they're alone and they're scared to say anything. But people can't say anything. They're HIPAA bound. If they do, they're going against their work.
They're
You
going
know what I'm
against,
saying?
yeah, and there are repercussions for that.
And there's repercussions for that. So don't be scared, to reach out, to just ask for help, because it's there and they will help you. You can just say, I have my sibling, I don't know how to handle it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really what I did initially. Okay.
Yeah.
Being in healthcare and knowing things, I had took one of the psychiatrists to the side that I was working with in a facility,
Right.
and had just kind of asked, for some guidance there.
Through this, what can I do? And I don't know anybody who would not be willing to help or to
Mhm.
assist in any way. And the way healthcare is, even if I don't know the answer, trust me, I know another person who knows the answer.
Mhm.
So we just
Yes.
need to ask for help.
Hmm.
You may not know who you're asking for help or who to ask for help. I
Right.
may know who can give you the help. Just ask for it. Just ask for it.
Absolutely.
And I am bound by law not to share your information. So ask for help. Ask for
Mhm.
help. And now this is interesting. What motivated you to write a book about your experiences growing
Mhm.
up with a schizophrenic sister? How do you believe it can resonate with others in the mental health community? I would love to see that book. I haven't seen it.
Yes, I am going to I'm gonna let you see it.
Yeah.
I'll be finished with it. I'll be finished with it the end of this year. And then yes, yes, yes. And so it will be coming out. You all will be seeing it. You'll be one of the first ones to
When it
know.
comes out, we are going to do another talk
Okay.
again to talk about the book, to talk about instances and episodes in the book, and I think it will really bless and give some
Yes,
more insight onto your own lived experience.
absolutely.
Hmm.
I was encouraged and inspired. Um, my sibling is the utmost encouragement. I feel like even with the illness and disease,
Hmm.
this individual and this person is one of the strongest people on earth that I know. And I'm just gonna say it. Um, Hint with my book, you all will see it. It'll be black. Her favorite color's black.
Your favorite, and that's why you're wearing black today.
That's why I'm wearing black. And so, one of the strongest people on earth. And that was my inspiration to put something out there for understanding, and also so my family could know the importance of her life,
Hmm.
and the focus of something that did not defeat her. It didn't defeat her. It didn't. And it won't.
The focus of something that did not defeat her.
Yes.
Whew,
Hmm.
I can resonate with that 10 times. And I wish that most of my patients can hear this. The focus of something that did not defeat her, that did not defeat this, that did not defeat a, that is not defeating them.
Hmm.
You may think you're weak, but sometimes maybe that weakness is just your strength.
Hmm. Hmm.
The schizophrenia may not just be defining you in a devastating way, maybe through that, as you navigate through that, that
Mhm.
is where your biggest strength comes from. And can you provide an overview of just like two things or messages that you hope to convey through that book?
Yes. Please know and understand, my experiences and with my sibling and everything is not for embarrassment or to put something out there that shouldn't be. It's dedicated to my sibling. This is dedicated to her. The book is going to be a knowledge based book on how to cope as a sibling, how to go through rough times as a sibling, resources that you can get, different techniques that you can do and have with your family to bring it out when it's hard to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody feels alienated or isolated. That no matter where that person is in the family, they can feel important and a part
And loved
and
and
loved
included.
and loved. This disease will be heard and it will be learned about because it will not defeat.
And the
Knowledge is power.
knowledge is power, and the stigma against this will be uplifted.
Yes.
And again, you are not alone. If you have schizophrenia or you have a loved one battling, struggling, navigating this journey, try and understand them, try and love them.
Mhm.
You're not alone.
Absolutely.
And don't make them feel alone.
Mm.
And I cannot let you go without asking you, despite the difficulties, there can be moments of hope and resilience in the journey living with a sibling. Have you found something that you can share that can uplift, or that can be that inspiring moment that have touched you just going through this? it is
Oh
it
my
is not
goodness.
all bad.
It's not all bad. Because I'll tell you one thing that is done. It has put a connection with me and my sibling that can never be broken. There's nothing that my sibling can do I will not support. If it's positive, if she's wrong, I'm gonna tell her, you're not right. She's gonna tell me too. That's
Mm-hmm.
not what I mean. But it has brought us to the point where no matter what's going on and no matter what's happening, I understand you. I love you.
No matter what.
No matter what. Okay, you are somebody and will always and forever be somebody.
I am i am digesting it, and I am hoping most of my patients, or all of my patients, whatever you're going through, it may not be schizophrenia, it may be depression, it may be bipolar,
Mhm.
whatever you're going through, listen, you are loved
Yes.
by those around. You're not alone. You are loved. It may be anything that you're going through.
Mhm.
You are loved. Whatever past decisions you've done,
Mhm.
whatever life you've lived,
Amen.
you are loved. And
Amen.
if you're not loved, what else can we do? What, before you go, what advice would you give to parents who are raising a child with schizophrenia?
My advice to you is to number one, pray, have a faith base, have a way for you to meditate so you can understand and have clarity, read, learn, have a group to go to just to
Mhm.
listen sometimes, not necessarily to talk. Listen to your
Listen.
child.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to your child. Don't be so quick to say, be quiet. That's your disease. That's this, that's that. We all know it's there and it's alive. Don't feed it. Break it down. Do not feed that disease because that's the only way it thrives and can survive in your home and make a ruins. Understand you control it. It does not
Would you
control.
advise parents to seek professional help
I
earlier
do.
on?
I advise professional help. I believe in professional help. I feel like that's one of the tools, not the ultimate, which is God, but I feel like that's one of the resources that He put here to help
We can
us.
use, yeah.
And please get professional help. Please, 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 please ask questions.
Yeah.
Ask plenty of questions. Learn it, know it, because you will not feed it, it will be defeated.
Amen. You will not feed it, it will
Period.
be defeated. You will not feed it, it will be defeated.
Yes.
We can all together defeat the challenges of having mental health issues or having loved one with mental health issues. And mental health can be a disconnected topic in many communities
Mhm.
still because of stigma. How can we encourage open conversations about schizophrenia and mental health in general?
Yeah. Open conversations. I think we need to have more talks like these. I
Yeah.
think we need to have more open forums, maybe even in person debates, even. I mean, not even if we want to call it a debate, but, have more in person knowledge based power things. You know, how we always say we're, into this and into that. We're into so many things as people. It's what we want to do. If you want to do it, it will happen. It's
Mhm.
like when hey, you don't want to go to that party, but you'll go to that party.
Yeah.
Or you're plan a family vacation, but you haven't even touched base on what's really a problem in your family.
Mhm.
So what I mean by that is there's nothing wrong with a family vacation. I love to go.
Yeah.
But have things in order. Be in the right order. We need to become aware and have advocacy. We need to talk about it. Let's do that. Can we talk about it? Can
Heal
we? Can we?
your internal, address the internal so that
Mhm.
it can show in the external.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I'm a firm believer in not putting on a show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Put the
Not
reality.
performance.
Right. Oh, I love that.
Stop
I love
performing.
that.
Stop performing. Be you.
Oh my goodness, stop it. Stop performing, okay, everyone. It's time to get real. It's time to get real, okay? God has blessed us to be here and be able to speak and get this out. It's time to be real. Because I'll tell you one of the things that this disease loves, and that's performance, because
That's
that's what it
performing. Yeah.
enhances. So
That's
let's
performing.
stop.
Mm-hmm. Let's stop. Let's stop.
Close the curtain.
Yeah, let's stop performing. Let's stop feeling like, okay, let me show up how this person want me to show up. Then the
Mhm,
next day you show up how this other person want you to show up. Then the
mhm,
next hour you show up how now you are performing. Why don't you show up yourself?
mhm.
Let us deal with the internal so it can portray in the external. Let us stop performing. And we are performing to people who don't even care, who don't even remember us. Let
Mhm.
us just be our true selves so that what we put out there is who we are and get the help that we can get or give the help that we can give. Thank you so much, Camilla, for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing all these beautiful insights with us. Do you
Mhm.
have a final message to our listeners? And I wanted to say can they find your book, but when the book is out, we'll talk about it again more. And you're on Facebook with your name, Camila Mohammed,
Mhm.
and a final message to especially those who are going through similar experiences.
Yes. Just want to say, glory be to the Lord the Most High. Let me tell you all that it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be perfect. We put on these shows and we have where everything has to be straightforward and narrow and
Perform.
perfect. No. Performance. But right now, I'm closing the curtain. This is not an intermission. This is the end of the show. It's time for us to get real. It's time for us to understand mental illness. It's time for us to get it together and stop allowing things to defeat us. Don't make mockery. Don't do it. None of us is perfect. Don't make anyone a table conversation. Don't just get to know me or someone else for you to go back and talk about. Learn from it. Live, but live in God's way. Knowledge is power. And please, everyone, know that it's okay. Reach out and help is there. It's time to talk. Show is over.
Show is over. Camilla has closed the show. This show is over. I can no, I can really not add anything to this. Camilla said this show is over. The mental health performance show is over. Be your unique self. Show up. Get help. Give help. Stop performing. Be who you are and be ready to accept help. And above all, what Camilla says, you are loved and you are lovable. Stop performing. And Camilla also said, let us talk about it. Let us talk about it. The more we talk about it, the more we are creating the awareness, the more we are stopping the stigma, the more we are not making mental health taboo subjects, the more we are not performing, the more we are able to accept the help and even give help. And it is a journey that we will keep talking about it. Mental health is a journey. Schizophrenia is a journey. Living with someone who has schizophrenia is a journey. Living
Yes.
with schizophrenia is a journey. Let us stop
Yes.
the performance and show up as we are, get the help that we deserve, or give the help that we can give. Thank you all for watching and stay tuned. Bye bye for now.